In recent years, there have been few intra-divisional rivalries that can match the spirit, intensity, or drama of the series between the New England Patriots and the Baltimore Colts. It is a very special game, no matter where the teams are in the standings. Two of the most exciting games were played in 1977 and 78 seasons, when the Patriots and Colts met on December 18th, 1977 at Memorial Stadium in Baltimore. The AFC Eastern Crown was on the line. And when number 26, Raymond Claiborne, ran the second half kickoff back for a touchdown, it looked like the championship would belong to New England. But the game was far from over, as Colt radio broadcasters Chuck Thompson and Vince Bagley described.
Chuck, things were probably never darker than right now, but I tell you, if they can come on down and score now, they're still in the game.
New England now 21, the Baltimore Colts 3. And if the Colts want a championship in the National Football League this year, they are going to have to do a lot of work in very little time. Come on! This is the game. This is the moment. The time is now.
Get in there! Nicholas back!
Blow him out now! Come on, blow him out!
Third and 18 from the 22. Here comes a blitz. They picked it up. Now another blitz. Jones throws down the middle. Raymond Chester's got it. Chester to the 20. Chester to the 10, to the 5. Scores!
Give them credit, brother. They're not out of this game. Now it's 24-17 on an 82-yard play.
Double flankers wide to the right side. Jones yanks away, play action fake, wants to throw, has a block, now fires, end zone. Touchdown, Scott! Touchdown to Freddie Scott.
Oh, my.
Despite this flurry of touchdowns, the Colts still trailed by a point midway through the fourth quarter. Then a drive which started on their own 1-yard line appeared to be over when Baltimore fumbled near the Patriot goal line. But in one of the most controversial plays of that season, the officials ruled the ball dead before the fumble, giving the Colts new life.
We have that clock running with 4:15. A point behind. What a thriller.
Oh, what a football game. What a second half of football. Third and goal, Baltimore at the New England 3. Double tight end offense. Jones gets it to McCauley, right side, dives, and he's got it.
He's got it.
He scores. McCauley has scored, and the Colts go ahead.
The Colts hung on to win 30-24, thus achieving their third consecutive AFC Eastern title. But in 1978, the shoe was on the other foot. The Colts had a rough year and skidded to the cellar, while New England earned the division's top spot. But on a rainy night in Foxborough on September 8, 1978, this apparent mismatch became another great game, as the Colts rallied for 27 fourth-quarter points to upset the Patriots. The hero was running back Joe Washington, then wearing number 27. In his first start as a Colt, he caught one touchdown pass and threw for another, then waited until the most dramatic moment for his final effort. With just a minute to play, New England had tied the score at 27 apiece. They then reluctantly kicked off to a waiting Joe Washington.
Here's a line knuckleball bouncing downfield. Washington, I think, at the Baltimore 10 to the 15. Upfield, still on his feet, out in the open momentarily, and he's going to be caught. No, he isn't. He's on his feet. Washington is going down into New England territory to the 10. He's going to score.
Oh, my!
Joe Washington returns 91 yards.
Oh, my!
Go to war, Miss Agnes.
Did we find a guy when we got this guy?
Joe, how'd you like to be mayor?
Whether that mayor's office is in Baltimore, Memphis, or Jacksonville, no one on the Colts can say. But the rumors of a possible evacuation from Crab Cake Corners hadn't been the only thing occupying Coach Ted Marchibroda's team. The arrival of the first-place Patriots, fresh off a convincing win over Miami, posed a definite threat to Baltimore's modest two-game winning streak. But with a relatively healthy Burt Jones returning at quarterback, the Colts felt they had a chance to pull off an upset. And as past history had shown, anything can happen when Baltimore and New England play each other. This 1979 version would more than live up to that tradition. Prior to coming into this game, only one other team in pro football had scored more points than the New England Patriots. And quarterback Steve Grogan wanted something on the board on their very first drive. Unfortunately for New England, their best-laid plans went astray. The turnover put the Colts in excellent field position, and they wasted no time in capitalizing. Number 20, Joe Washington, was the most anxious of all, proving it with perhaps the finest individual effort of the 1979 NFL season. In 3 pro campaigns, Joe had never scored a touchdown on the ground. This one is worth repeating. By all rights, the hit by number 50, Sam Hunt, should have stopped Washington. But somehow, Joe the Jet kept his balance and completed a run that can best be characterized as amazing. This early score established a trend that would continue throughout the game. Burt Jones would involve his running backs heavily in the offensive scheme, particularly with medium-range passes. Jones was able to use runners like number 23, halfback Don McCauley, who would then turn the short pass into something far greater. Much to Baltimore's dismay, a penalty negated this particular play, but it proved the strategy was sound and the Colts would return to it later. Meanwhile, the Patriots were anxious to bounce back from their early woes, and did so when Grogan went airborne to wide receiver Stanley Morgan, number 86. The 56-yard play brought the score to 7-6, and it stayed that way when the point after was missed. Then Jones and the Colts were quick to respond. The recently recovered quarterback scrambled well enough and long enough to find number 35, Glenn Dowdy, open downfield. After Dowdy's 54-yard effort, it took the Colts only 3 plays to score again. This time, fullback Don Hardiman, number 36, did the honors. The upstart Colts now enjoyed a surprising 14-6 advantage over the Patriots. Yet in the game that had several trends, another was becoming evident. When one team scored, the other would storm right back. Within 3 minutes after the first touchdown, Grogan went to Stanley Morgan again. And again, the results were the same. The first quarter ended with the Colts ahead 14-13, but that was a situation Grogan wished to remedy with all deliberate speed. He began the second period by going deep to Morgan again. Only an alert play from safety Nesby Glasgow, number 25, prevented the long completion. Despite the near miss, Grogan would go to Morgan again throughout the afternoon. For now, though, the Patriots were unable to move. So Jones and company began a march of their own. The best catch of the drive, and perhaps of the whole day, came from reserve tight end Mac Alston, number 83. a man known more for his blocking capabilities than his receiving skill. The drive ended with a Colt field goal, extending their lead to 17-13. The Patriots would do no more scoring in the first half, and the Colts were stopped from doing any further damage when Jones' late pass attempt was stolen by number 40, cornerback Mike Haynes. Mac Alston's jackknife tackle did not sit well with the Patriots, who weren't all that happy about trailing at halftime anyway. But no one really seemed all that surprised about it. It was shaping up to be another typical New England-Baltimore battle, and an explosive second half was still to come. Indeed, there are quarterbacks in the NFL who can throw a ball farther than Burt Jones. There are many who stand behind center who may be wiser as well. However, number 7 is beyond comparison when it comes to competitive spirit. Behind their leader, the inspired Colts marched for a touchdown on their first possession of the second half. On the drive, Jones used his backs masterfully. Number 36, Don Hardiman, was one effective weapon, as was number 23, Don McCauley. From the Patriots 7, Jones found another backfield mate, Joe Washington, for the score. Washington's second score of the day padded the Colts' tenuous 4-point lead. But against the second leading scorers in the AFC, the New England Patriots, no lead is ever secure, as Baltimore was soon to find out. Rookie Colt cornerback Larry Brazil, number 47, allowed New England to sustain a downfield campaign by plowing into Patriot punter Eddie Hare midway through the third quarter. Brazil's case of rookie overexuberance resulted in a roughing the punter penalty. Steve Grogan then quickly rekindled the Patriot attack. Clutch catches for big gains are nothing new to veteran Harold Jackson, the highest-paid wide receiver in the NFL. The Patriots would be denied a touchdown as Mike Ozdowski, number 51, steamed in on Grogan. His sack forced New England to settle for 3, making the score 24-16, Baltimore. Still, the Colts seemed bent on making crucial second-half mistakes. Such was the case when John Smith kicked off for the Patriots. Bob Kreider's recovery of Baltimore's latest gift opened the door for Grogan. With his receivers covered, Steve was forced to run the football, something he relishes rather than fears. Undoubtedly, Grogan's the finest running quarterback in the league today. He is cunning and wiry and possesses excellent peripheral vision, making him a natural open field runner. Perhaps someday they'll release a film concerning his running ability entitled Grogan's Run. But for now, Steve was thinking of 6 points instead of stardom. Harold Jackson's touchdown grab was nullified by a costly Patriot holding penalty. On 3rd and 10 from the Colt 11, Grogan was pummeled by Baltimore's leading sacker, defensive end Fred Cook, number 72. Cook's 3 sacks last week against Buffalo aided Baltimore in its second win of 1979. This one forced New England to settle for 3 once more. as things tightened up late in the third quarter. When Baltimore took over, Jones resorted to the tactics he had found previously successful, passing to his backs with short swing passes. Quick releases to McCauley seemed the perfect attack against the New England defense that is the NFL's toughest to run through and pass over. When the Patriot linebackers began picking up Jones' backs in the flat, Burt rendered his Steve Grogan imitation and ran the ball himself. Jones ignored his nagging shoulder separation and the punishing Patriot linebackers and cruised out of bounds into the arms of teammate Fred Cook for a 25-yard pickup. Jones knew a faster and safer way to 6 points. Speedy wide receiver Roger Carr, number 81. Feeling that he was tripped and deserving of a pass interference call, Carr exhibited the type of fury that Jones is noted for. Nevertheless, his rage would be in vain as the Colt downfield drive was halted. Grogan went to work to take the lead. Harold Jackson would finish the day with nearly 100 yards on merely 4 catches. His latest grab set up a Grogan touchdown run. The second half had become a duel between quarterbacks. With 7 minutes remaining in the game, Grogan had the upper hand. Jones went about the business of changing all that by returning to Don McCauley. McCauley's twisting 16-yard gain took Baltimore deep into Patriot territory and set the scene for Joe Washington's second rushing touchdown of his career and the game. As Little Joe had personally ruined New England last year on national television, so had he accounted for 3 touchdowns in this contest as well. One can't blame the little guy if his head would momentarily outgrow his helmet. Ahead 31-26, Jones sought to run out the clock by handing off to workhorse Don McCauley. But number 40 All-Pro Mike Haynes stripped McCauley of the ball. Haynes provided the Patriots with an opportunity to overcome their 5-point deficit with over 3 minutes to play. Grogan went to the receiver who had tormented Baltimore all day, Harold Jackson. Once again, an excellent defensive play would prohibit New England from scoring. Underrated strong safety Bruce Laird, number 40, was the latest Baltimore hero. The Patriots still had one final chance to achieve a dramatic victory, and Burt Jones elected not to view the game's final moments. In a do-or-die situation, Grogan had his pass deflected by number 56, Ed Simonini, as number 51, Mike Ozdowski, drove him to the turf, causing his pass to fall harmlessly to the ground. A game that was predicted to be a one-sided New England conquest proved to be an evenly waged, dramatic football game. From the Colt Patriot showdowns of the past, one must wonder how these teams managed to consistently play such stirring, emotional football. An explanation for Baltimore's victory was perhaps best offered by a character in the novel Semi-Tough, who stated, "Winning is a happy accident of getting a bunch of guys together who want to." For New England head coach Ron Earhart, he has only 2 weeks to overcome defeat and prepare for what will probably be another cardiac rematch.